Hi everyone, welcome back to another session of 8x Pixel Expo 8th Monthly Webinar Global Webcast, the December series, happening every 8th of the month as we convene over a united cause, that is our love for diving and the ocean. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this post to win the collector's edition of your favorite Scuba Diver Australasia and Ocean Planet, Diverholic 21 and 22 digital diving magazine for free. So for today's session, it is TekDiving101 Tips on Ice Diving, moderated by the Guinness World Record holder of the deepest scuba dive, Ahmad Garb. Ahmad Garb's scuba dive has a record of 332.35 meters in the Red Sea, is the deepest ever. Making a stand for our oceans, he's founded an organization and mobilized 614 divers for the largest underwater cleanup. As a technical diving instructor and trainer, he's backed by over 20 years of experience in sports and military diving. Ahmad is also joined by four other gentlemen: Gerald Nowak from Germany, Josh Thornton from the USA, Sergei Gorbunyuk from Russia, and Evgeny Poluhin from Russia as well. So now I will pass it over to Ahmad to moderate our session for us. The floor is yours, Ahmad. Thank you.
Hello, thanks, Kushi, for the amazing introduction. I mean, like to me, I mean, like first, I mean, like I was just wondering. I mean, like I have actually a bad cold. You know, I started. I had like a deep dive. I had a deep dive like a couple of days ago, and then it was a little bit windy. You know, so I mean, like just when I surfaced after the water, even I was diving with a dry suit. You know, and then whoa, I was just like sneezing. I was cold. Everything was amazing. So I was just trying to connect that to ice diving as well. I mean, like, how did it happen? I mean, like, wow. I mean, like, and I remember my very first ice diving. I mean, like, and that was with Sergey. That was like 3 years ago, Sergey, right? I mean, like,
yes, I think yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then there was like a lot of media, and then they asked me to put my feet for the first time in the ice, you know, and then I was freezing, man. I was freezing. I didn't know what happened to me. I mean, like, and the guy was insisting to talk to me, and then I can barely talk, and then I can barely move my lips, you know, like underwater. Anyway, I'm Ahmed Gabr. I'm gonna be. It will be a great pleasure to moderate this session. It's an honor actually to be with these amazing speakers and experience in ice diving and cave diving as well. I'm a tech instructor trainer actually. I'm based in Egypt, so I'm mainly like I'm talking to you from outdoors today. I mean, like to make you envy with the sun around me. I mean, like the sea behind. I bet. I mean, like how about? I mean, like I would like to talk to every one of you. I mean, like about your experience in ice diving first. I mean, like the weather right now. So let me start with Josh.
Hello. So yeah, my name is Josh Thornton. I live in Utah in the USA. I come from a diving family, so I grew up diving. I believe my first ice dive was somewhere around 1999. Interesting experience. I wouldn't necessarily say a good experience. It was also my first dry suit dive, happened to be under the ice. But I survived it and been able to do a lot of fun ice diving since then. And we do a lot of ice diving training, and then you know, ice diving for fun. Various places around the world, been lucky enough to dive. Been working in the dive industry since 2002, and just love being underwater, and that includes under the ice. So.
Oh, this is pretty impressive, though. Yes, Gerald.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Gerald Nowak. I'm from Germany, and I'm instructor, trainer, and specialized on diving in cold water. I love warm water diving as well. Egypt is a great place for diving, but the last couple of years, I had many opportunities to go ice diving and worldwide, to Russia, to Canada, to Antarctica. So my first ice dive was 1987, so very long time ago. And it was a really cold dive because I only had a wetsuit and not really dry suit. I was under ice maybe for 20 minutes, and now with the perfect equipment, I can stay much longer. And I really enjoy the different kind of ice diving, especially when you go diving in lakes. then it's fresh water. It's really cold, but it's much colder if you go in the seawater, because the seawater, the salt water, is much colder when it's ice on top.
Thank you, Joel. Sergey.
Yes, I'm here. Okay, my name is
Sergey. By the way, Sergey is my very first ice diving instructor. I mean, like the first one who took me for ice diving. Since I came from Moscow, I mean, like just a couple of hours, I was under the ice right away. That's Sergey.
I'm so happy to hear as me like your teacher. It's very good. Okay, my name is Sergey Garpenyuk. I'm also instructor trainer, trainer, NTD, and also specialized for cold water diving because Russia is cold countries, and we have to make this specialized. And also my more attention now was it for technical diving in cold water, especially for ice diving, technical ice diving. And later I would like to introduce you a new course. It's call it like ice cave course. It's diving under ice with cave technologies. It's without the rope. I will explain you later. And my experience and ice diving start from 2002, and I have about several hundred dives under ice. And also I use a dry suit, and also we produce our electrical heaters for diving for cold water, and it's much more comfortable compared to usual diving. Okay, all other I'll explain later. Thank you.
Thanks, Sergey. Now, the guru of Vladivostok, Evgeny.
Hi, Ahmed. Excuse me, guys, my English maybe is not correct. My name is Evgeny Paluhin. I'm military diving instructor, Ahmed, you know. My first dive under ice was 2004 in Vladivostok, in Primorye, Russia. It was most longer ice dive, more 1 hour. Now ice diving is my life. The last same years I organized World Dive Games in Vladivostok. It's ice dive competition. I'm sorry, it's a language barrier.
Geny, I mean, like, he's a great help with me. I mean, like, he invites me, he's the main organizer of Vladivostok Under Ice Navigation Competition. He invites me every year. They made me an ambassador for this competition, you know. I mean, like, it's so I enjoy diving in Vladivostok almost every year. But I wanna start with Geny. I mean, like, it's how is the weather now? Is Vladivostok first?
But you know all about me.
Is it okay? How is the weather? Is it ice there now? Is it snowing or still like nice, like shiny weather? Okay, Geny. I mean, like, yeah. Geny, it's. I always see you holding a seal with you, like the animal, the mammal. Yeah. So can you tell me more about this seal?
Marine mammals. Yeah? It's. I'm founder in rehabilitation center of marine mammals in Vladivostok. So spot seals, dolphins, and other marine mammals.
Yeah.
Excuse me, guys. It's a language barrier. I have more
practice. No problem. All right. So let me get. I would like to ask Gerald first. Gerald, when was your first ice diving in general?
Yeah, as I told you before, I started very early diving. So I started in the 80s, and 87 I was ice diving the first time, and this was not the great, really great thing, because I had only a wetsuit, and I was on the ice for maybe 20 minutes only. And at that time, I decided, oh, ice diving is not my kind of diving, because I felt it was very cold and not that interesting, because it was a German lake and we had only a couple centimeters of ice. And there was nothing below the ice. It was only like a plate upside down. So it was not really nice ice diving. The first time really nice ice diving was in the Alps, maybe 10, 12 years later in the 90s. And I found this diving under ice in the mountain is much more interesting. So I started with the right equipment. I had dry suit, I had the right gloves, I had really good equipment. So that was the time the ice diving really gets fun for me. And the main reason I'm diving under ice is because I'm an underwater photographer. So it's not I don't do any instructions. I don't teach really people, not many people, ice diving. My main reason to go under ice is taking pictures under ice. And that's the reason I really love to go in far away countries where the ice is totally different.
Yeah. I had the same feeling at the first time, like when I started ice diving. I mean, like I was just like, wow, I mean, like this is freezing. And then eventually, I mean, like I started to realize, I mean, like I have to have many layers, like before I start my diving. So you mainly do ice diving mainly for photography, right? Your main passion is photography. All right.
Yes.
Perfect.
I've done it to my profession, so I do it professional. I take pictures around the world, and couple of years, I found the place, especially in Russia, they have fantastic places for ice diving, and the complete thing. So the country itself, with the ice under and above water, the people there, and everything. So the whole package is very interesting. Not only the ice diving itself, so it's more the whole thing is interesting.
Is it Baikal Lake? Is it Baikal Lake?
Lake Baikal, yes, the Lake of Baikal.
Baikal Lake and Orda Cave.
And there's fantastic diving there, and there's totally different ice. So if you go ice diving in the Alps, in Germany, in Austria, in Switzerland, maybe you have 20, 30 centimeters of ice. It's always milky. It's not really like ice. It's more like a white plate. But if you go ice diving in Lake Baikal, you have up to 1 meter and more, and it's crystal clear, like glass. You can look through 1 meter of ice. It's totally different.
This is amazing. This is experience. Like I want to go through one day. I mean, like hopefully soon.
Yeah, join me. Come in February. I will be in February for 3 weeks in Lake Baikal.
Me too.
So.
Me too. I will be in February in Russia. Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
It will be my pleasure. Josh, tell me, Josh. I mean, like, do you have ice in USA right now?
Not right now. It's just starting to get cold here. I mean, there probably are some areas that we're starting to get ice, but at least where I teach and dive a lot, we usually, like into January and February, January to mid-February is where we'll see the good ice. And depending on altitude. So a lot of our ice diving, we drive up into the mountains to get the cooler weather at the higher altitude. And so that's where we'll start to see the good ice. And it varies from, like Gerald was saying, from kind of the cloudy white plate. On a good year, we'll get some of that clear ice, and that definitely adds to the experience and makes it more enjoyable rather than just being in some dark, murky water.
And this is fantastic. I mean, like, I would like to move to the other question, to Sergey. Sergey, I mean, like, it's I'm not gonna ask you when is your first ice dive, of course, because I believe like every Russian, I mean, like, it's open water, of course. It wasn't an ice dive, right? But I'm just like, yes, I'm listening.
Okay, continue.
Correct. Your first ice dive was in Russia, of course, correct?
Correct. Yes, sure.
Yeah, of course. And your first diving in general was in Russia as well, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me move to the technical diving. I mean, like few days ago, I mean, like I did like kind of a deep dive, you know, here in the Red Sea. I mean, like it was a 72 minutes dive. You know, that was 100 meters. I'm just concerned. I mean, like if I do like kind of such a deep dive in Russia, I mean, like will be is that gonna be an issue? You know, like for decompression. If I do that dive, the same dive, you know, like in Russia as well, would it be longer because of the vasoconstriction and the vasodilation, or it's gonna be the same decompression phase exactly like I do it here in like normal warm water?
Okay, I can speak. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and I will answer for the questions on the list. For challenges, what I have in diving and ice diving. My first dive was, as I say, 2002. And the first challenge in diving in cold water was its temperature, because it was a dry suit, but it was very thin undergarment, and it's not enough for cold diving. Ahmed, you can understand me. For diving in cold water, you need very good undergarment. You will need dry gloves, dry suit. Even you use it all good, it's not enough for a long time. It's better to use some heater systems. And the first, to keep warm, we're using chemical heating system. And this is also not so good because when you use any energy under the suit, it's very dangerous because if something happened, you cannot remove it from your dry suit. It's technical, it's chemical or electric. And some people use batteries under the dry suit. It's also very dangerous, and we have a bad experience when the divers have a problem when electrical system was short-cut, and it was a problem. The first experience with electric heater we make together with Lamar Hires. I know it's dive right. And he dived in my electric jacket in Ardenska cave in the 2009. And then continue produce electric system. The second challenge in ice diving was this freedom, because usually divers who dive under ice have some rope. The robots come to surface, and distance from the ice hole, it's a little limitation by the length of the rope. And also, it's not so comfortable to dive in the dry suit and the dry gloves with the rope, and you have to handle the rope during the whole time of the dive, because it's also a communication system. But at the same time, I'm a cave diver and a cave instructor. And I think it's a what difference between cave diving and ice diving. It's a difference just the size of the room, nothing more. And based on the cave diving, we make special course. It's technical. It's exactly technical course. It's not for recreational. It's technical course. It's very close to a cave course, and technical to ice diving without the rope. The diving with the grid line. It's a big difference, but it's much more freedom underwater. It's very comfortable. And next step of the challenge, it's technical diving. It's decompression diving, because if you dive in cold water, the main important part of your equipment, it's dry suit, because you can make double tanks, a double mask, double knives, double feeds, but you cannot use double dry suits. And for this situation, we have to pay more attention for redundancy of dry suit and the redundancy of your undergarment, and also heater system. And I think now we're on the way to fix the problem, and I think we have a good result for this. Thank you.
Perfect. But I just like, my main question was, I mean, like, for example, if I have my decompression profile, for example, if it's if my decompression profile, for example, is like a specific amount of time, like let's say, for example, like 1 hour. This is my deco profile. Will that be affected if I'm doing the same ice dive as well? I mean, like, would it be longer, for example, or it gonna be the same?
It's on the edge, because if you make gradient factor as lower, it's more safe. You'll have more longer dive. It's you become froze. For example, my longest dive in cold water, it's my background. It's Blue Lake in Kabardino-Balkaria. It's all the during the whole year. It's about 8-9 degrees, and I have dive in the lake length about 6.5 hours. It's a long time. It was depth about 120 meters and 10 minutes bottom time, and then very long surfacing. And when I used electric heater, it was comfortable. But about gradient factor, about safety factor. When I dive on the lake, I set 2070. It's a little bit more safe than usual 3085, for example. But it's also no long like 1050. Some people use it. I prefer use 2070 for gradient factor.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Sergey. Geni, I see you diving with rebreather, right?
Right.
So does rebreather? I see you. Yeah, I see you always diving with a rebreather in Vladivostok, right? So does rebreather make you a little bit warmer, or you don't use because you never, or this is just because of your military background? Or you have a specific reason for that?
Yeah, it's my military background. Ahmed, excuse me, it's my friend Yuri. His English better than mine.
Yeah, he can sit next to you. Hello, how are you? So
hey guys,
so does rebreather?
Very nice to see you. So just any questions for Evgeny? I will translate. Few minutes, okay. Maybe. Okay.
No problem. So does rebreather make you warmer underwater, under ice?
Дыхание, безусловно, вдох он теплее. То есть приятнее дышать теплым воздухом.
The breathing air is warmer than without rebreather, so just comfortable to use a rebreather under the ice when you're doing under ice diving.
That's right. Do you have to do as well, like with rebreather diving under the ice? Do you have to do as well the same procedures? You put like normal regulators, like open circuit regulators, for example, they freeze if you start, like.
Ребризер требует более бережного отношения. Там существует такая проблема, если его хранить в холоде, то есть неправильно хранить, то выступает конденсат на кислородных датчиках. Это вот основная проблема. То есть перед погружением мы должны достать датчики, хранить их в тепле и установить их прямо перед погружением.
Yes, of course. Every time you use rebreather, it's you have to do every move properly. So just in there, sorry, technical English. So just
oxygen sensor.
Oxygen sensors. You have to always to pull them out and check them, and then before you dive, you should put them inside.
Электронный модуль, батарею тоже следует
ставить перед. And the same with the electricity model, the battery. So the battery always they like warm conditions. So that if the water is too cold, you have less time for diving.
This is perfect. Let me move to Josh right now. Josh, I mean, what are the most interesting sites around you that you dove in ice diving?
The most interesting around me are probably just some of the high altitude kind of alpine lakes. And I can't remember who mentioned before, but a lot of ice diving, diving is only a small part of the experience, and you go up there and what's actually under the ice, if that's all you saw, it might not be that interesting, but it's the whole experience of traveling to the site and setting up and going out on the ice and cutting through the ice. And I think I often refer to ice diving as a t-shirt dive for a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of people that they go and they take the class and they do it once. They buy the t-shirt that says I went ice diving, and then they never do it again.
This is me, but I never had the t-shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
You get one. You get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for someone to really get into ice diving and do much more than the initial, couple days of training, they have to enjoy that process. They have to enjoy it's an equipment intensive. You got to be careful with the equipment. Even when you have quality equipment, you have to treat it correctly. Make sure, like you were mentioning, not breathing on the regulator when it's sub-zero temperatures in the air and doing all that. And I think if you don't enjoy that, then you would have a really hard time enjoying ice diving and possibly even being safe while ice diving. So it's interesting because I think it attracts a certain type of person, type of personality, even within diving. And so, if I were to show you pictures of where I go ice diving, a lot of people would just think, oh, that's not very interesting. But if you were to come and experience the entire weekend, when we go out ice diving, it would be a lot more interesting.
Yeah, well, they took me to the Russian sauna just right after, it was really hard for me. All right, I'm gonna move to Gerald again. Gerald, you are underwater photography, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
This is quite interesting though, because most of the photographers I've been diving with, they are not stable for the whole dive. They just go up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. Does that like an impact on your decompression dives in general, or are you aware of that, or do you plan it, or you have some difficulties, especially in ice diving, if you have like a soft and a hard ceiling at the same time?
Yeah, as you said, it's up from the equipment what you use. When I go on a rebreather on the ice, it's not possible to do this yo-yo diving. I have to be stable and I have to plan my dive. I have to plan the pictures and I have to configure everything in advance. So when I go with some buddies for ice diving, and I like to take pictures of them, and I go with a rebreather, I have to tell them exactly what they have to do, because it's very complicated for me to go up and down. If I like to do a ice dive and take pictures of other people, and I like to get different perspectives of these people, then I go on open circuit, because then it's much easier to go up and down. As you told us already, yes, the diving as an underwater photographer is not a normal dive. It's not like you're stable and you go smooth through the water. You always look for the perfect position to get the pictures. And this is under ice, it's almost the same. But as Josh told us, so ice diving is the complete package. So the going there to find a good place to open the ice, and all this surrounding is interesting. So when you go on an ice journey with a group of people, I do a lot of group journeys. I always do maybe one dive a day, because it takes a while to find the correct place. And especially when you have very thick ice, you first have to check how thick it is. Otherwise, maybe it's a lot of work and you can't go through the ice. And like Baikal, they have places where the ice can be up to 7 meters. So it's not possible to do a hole in the ice for 7 meters. So you have to find a place where the ice is only 1 meter or 80 centimeters, and then cut the hole there, and then go with a very long line to the other places where the ice is much thicker. And especially when you come out of the water and you have the right thing with you, like in Lake Baikal or White Sea, we have cabins with us, and these cabins are heated, so you can prepare your stuff before you go underwater. Everything is warm, so you don't have the problem that the regulator is freezing. You go in the water, and if you come out, you can go into the cabin, you can change your clothes so you don't freeze really. This is much more comfortable than if you go with your own car. You don't have a space where you can change it's different. So ice diving can be very luxury. Ice diving can be very hard.
This is absolutely. I mean, like it's a kind of diving that you have to deal with respect, even it's a recreational or shallow dives, even because as well. I mean, like as Sergey just mentioned before, and then I experienced as well. I mean, like to me, I mean, like to be hooked to a rope, and to have ice diving with a rope, I mean, like it's a little bit confusing to me, and then you have a tender on the surface, and like he's pulling it, then you have to have like kind of connection with him. It's a little bit confusing, but I just wonder. I mean, like. How can you manage that with a camera as well? Do you have the same procedure? Do you hook yourself with a rope as well and a tender? I mean, like, and how can you control that with your gear, with a camera, with everything?
Yeah, when I do it, I if I go in to any new places where the people don't know me, I first dive with them as a normal guest. I show them how I do ice diving. I discuss it before, and then I normally use the Russian way of ice diving. So the leader of the group have the line directly on his body, and I have a carabiner, and I have the possibility to move a little bit from the line, because I can change from the left to the right side easily. It's not like in Germany, you are really attached to each other, fixed attached to each other. That's the normal rule on the CMAS system. But I don't like it. I like it much more that I can move from one place to the other place, and the line, so my body line from the main line is normally 3 to 5 meters. So I can go very far from the group to get pictures from the group, even if I'm attached to the line.
You seem like you are very controlling in everything. I mean, like you are very familiar. Everything is accessible to you, right?
Yeah, if you do it,
you're bossing the situation. Yeah.
If you do it, you have to do it safe, and you have to show other people that you do it safe, not to unclick and swim without line. This is that's stupid to do it, because other people see it, and maybe they do it as well, and then you get an accident. This is stupid. So you have to be on the rule, but you can extend the rule a little bit, and you use a maybe a little bit longer shot line to take the pictures, but you have to train it.
I like that. I mean, like I don't like standardizing things either. I mean, like I like to move around the situation. I mean, like this is the best. So this is the best situation. I would move a little bit now to Guinea. Can you please tell me more about the under ice navigation competition that you organize every year?
As you know, Evgeny is a founder of International Winter Dive Games here in Vladivostok. It's pity that COVID rules make such decisions so that just different countries cannot come here.
Sorry to interrupt. I mean, like my last trip before COVID was to Vladivostok. My first trip was to Vladivostok. So last trip was to Vlad. First trip was to Vlad again. Yes, keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Ну, как ты пришел к этому?
Ну, изначально просто хотелось нырять под лед. У нас в городе мало кто нырял под лед.
First of all, Evgeny said he decided to go under the ice. There were no people who did it, because I don't know, maybe they were afraid. So just he decided, and then comes an idea to make such international competition.
Сначала мы сделали майну, которая была доступна для всех. Ну и просто.
First of all, they cut the ice, which was able for everyone to dive in under his control.
Well, I myself, I mean, like, yeah.
Решили устроить такой междусобойчик. Как бы, то есть все люди, которые прошли через майну, предложили посоревноваться.
The first idea was to make a inside club competition, and then just go outside. Sorry, nervous.
I mean, like I was in this competition before. I mean, like, and then I can see like when they cut the ice into the main direction, you know, like the main compass direction, and everyone is taking a certain bearing underwater. I mean, like you get the bearing first, and then they start to navigate under the water to a specific direction. You know, like whether north, south, east, west, and then the other direction, like northeast, north south, you know, like southeast, southwest, whatever, you know, like it's very successful. And then at the end of the day, they just to award the winner. But my next question: how many country like every year get involved in this competition?
Сколько стран? Ну, стран немного. Корея.
Not much countries, especially Asia region, Asia Pacific. You know, Chinese, Korean. We were sending invitation to Japan, but they didn't answer. So just because of COVID. So just two years ago,
Egypt.
Huh? Egypt, of course. Sorry, my apologies. So just we want the geographics of this winter games to become more big. So just everyone should come.
Yeah, Sergey, do you ever been to this competition before?
No, not yet. I hope next year I will go.
Never. It's very cool for you, huh?
No, not very cool. Evgeny, in this year, when the competition will start?
В этом году когда будет?
Когда в этом году будет?
Мы можем по-русски, да? 21-23 февраля. У нас все приурочено к 23 февраля.
Sorry, I will be Argentina cave. Next year.
This year, as usual, in the mid-February, from 20th till 24th, because military celebration. So just as Evgeny, a Navy officer, so just every year in the same day.
Части, да, то есть чтобы участвовали военные. То есть мы приурочили к этой дате.
Lots of Navy officers should come, so just that's why this data was.
Ну пока военные проигрывают гражданским.
But the Navy officers loses to
civil,
to common citizens. Yeah.
Josh, you do a lot of altitude diving, right?
Yes, that's correct. In my home state, every dive is an altitude dive. But
does that have like a big difference, or you can tell me more about the decompression ceiling in altitude diving and the sea level diving, especially in the ice? That a big difference between both of them, or?
I mean, the altitude definitely affects it. And the easiest way to explain it is kind of how they used to teach altitude diving with, decompression tables rather than computers. And essentially, let's say you had a 40-meter dive, depending on your altitude, they would come up with what they call a sea level equivalent depth. And so your decompression might be the same as your same bottom time at 50 meters or 60 meters, depending on your altitude. Basically, the higher the altitude you go, the bigger difference you'll see between your actual depth and your sea level equivalent depth. Now, I mean, obviously, we don't really use tables that much anymore. We're using computers. And some computers compensate for altitude automatically. Some of them you have to change the settings. But they're doing the same thing, and what they're looking at is that pressure difference. Essentially, what we're doing is not essentially. We are ascending to less than 1 atmosphere pressure after the dive, and so that's where you see the difference. For example, where I'm sitting right now, rather than 1 atmosphere, I'm at 0.87 of an atmosphere. So even with our rebreathers and testing our rebreathers in our pressure room and everything, we have to do some calculations and convert things because we're not at 1 atmosphere. I think you're muted, Ahmed.
Sorry, yes, I was muted.
There we go.
I mean, like, all right. So do you think like a computer, I mean, like computer does it by itself, or you just need to do it manually as well, like as a backup or as a redundant,
The computers are pretty good at it, but we'll still take a look at a table for rough planning, and to get an idea of, okay, what are we looking at? I think one thing to keep in mind specifically with ice diving or any serious cold water diving is that our computer knows what the water temperature is, but it doesn't know what our core body temperature is, right? And it's estimating what's going on inside our body. And so it's a model of decompression. It's estimating what's going on in our body. And until we have,
but you don't. Sorry to interrupt, but you don't know your
problem.
body temperature. But you don't know your body temperature either yourself. I mean, like, or you,
yeah,
you don't.
that's
measure.
true.
Yeah.
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 I mean, we go off of what we feel, and so we have some idea, but it's probably not quite accurate. What we feel. So I think until we have a dive computer that can actually know what's going on inside our body, things like ice diving will warrant that we be more conservative than we might be in less demanding conditions. And we can choose to add that conservatism by changing our gradient factors and settings on our computer. We can choose to add that conservatism by just extending, maybe some of our shallow stops a little bit longer and things like that. But I think most of the community that dives in more extreme environments would agree that we're diving on the edges of what's encompassed in that model in the computer.
What ingredient factor are you using? Can I ask?
Yeah, so I change it depending on the conditions. But in general, I start at like a 30-70, and I'll change it from there depending on, I believe it was Gerald that was talking that mentioned that. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was someone else. But it's a balance between, okay, if we spend more time underwater, we might extend our stops, and on paper it might be more conservative. But we need to balance that with the fact that the longer we spend under very cold water, we're now risking hypothermia, and our blood flow is changing, our on-gassing, off-gassing is changing. And so there's a lot to balance, and it may be safer to dive at a more aggressive gradient factor and get out of the water sooner than spend more time in the cold water.
I mean, like the feeling, I mean, like as well. That's right. No, I agree with you about that. So as well, I mean, like the ceiling, I mean, like it can be like, like the tissue perfusion in ice diving, it's a little bit different, from cold water to warm water as well, right?
Oh yes, definitely. And I mean, there's a fairly well-known study from the U.S. Navy where they had the divers go down and ride an exercise bike underwater, and they did different core body temperatures where it was like warm on the bottom, warm during decompression, cold on the bottom, warm during decompression, warm on the bottom, cold during decompression. They did all the different combinations. And I mean, if you think about it, none of the findings were very surprising, but it was nice to see that, okay, yes, that does definitely affect how our bodies operate and our physiology, and we learn from that and make hopefully better decisions moving forward to limit our risk of decompression sickness.
That's right. I mean, like, I agree with you. I mean, like, it's good to be cool actually on the way down for vasoconstriction, so your on-gassing phase is much more less, but on the way up, the off-gassing phase, it will be less because you are actually cold, so you can actually exert more effort. This is how I see it and how I think, you need to worry more about as well carbon dioxide buildup as well, like in a lot of movement.
Yeah. And it kind of goes against the natural flow of a decompression dive. I mean, we tend to be working a little bit harder on the bottom and then hanging around during decompression, getting a little bit colder. But as mentioned earlier, things with heated vests and systems, we can use those to our advantage to optimize our on-gassing and off-gassing a little bit more if we're smart with how we use them.
That's right. That's right. I agree. All right. Let me start again with the journal. I mean, like, do you think ice diving has a potential effect economically or on the tourism in general where you live?
I live in the south part of Germany, so close to the Alps. So for most people, they are living in this area. It's not that far to go in the Alps. And like if I look out of my window, we have a little bit of snow, and it's a very, very thin ice on the lakes. But if you go in the mountains and if you go a little bit higher altitude, you can dive there already now, and some people they are interested, and especially in this COVID times, more and more people are interested to do diving in our own region, and they are going for a special diving like ice diving as well. Yeah, I guess ice diving is getting more interesting for people right now. Your microphone is off.
Is that the same in Russia, Sergey? Like,
yes, I'm here.
like that is ice diving has is it becoming more popular, or like is it affecting, like a lot of people asking for ice diving in Russia, or it's kind of limited as well?
In Russia, it's a lot of people make ice diving. It's usually it's normal. It's not something special. But in Russia, not even in Russia, I think it's all country. The people who make ice diving, they feel the limitation of the rule. For example, the rope, and mainly the problem the rope. And like Gerald say, the people would like to make more freedom, to take more freedom underwater, to dive in any place they want. And please, I would like to ask to show the pictures with the equipment with the pocket. And make a special equipment first, and then they make a course how to make more safe if the people dive under ice without the rope, or they can swim a little bit more space from the rope to make to take more freedom. And the first, I don't know, it's show or no. The main idea, I have some special pocket with some buoyancy part. The pocket have an ice screw. And also the pocket have a carabin. Yes, this one. If something happened, the guy the diver can take the pocket from his pocket from the ice suit. They can surface to the ice, then screw in to the ice, then put the reel on the pocket to the anchor, and then try to find the ice hole from exactly place. Please show the photo number 1. Hold on, number 1. No, it's not 1. It's 4. Number 1. Yes. How to use it? If you lost under ice, you can ascend to surface to the ice, then screw in the ice screw. Please, second photo. Then you can put on the anchor your reel, and you can start to look for the ice hole. It's much more safe and much easier to look, because here at this place is white sea. There's very good visibility. It's just for show. Usually under ice visibility not enough. If you start to looking for a lost ice hole, you can spend a lot of time to find it, and you can lose direction to hole. When you have an anchor on the surface, you can find the ice hole much more easy. Please, photo number 3. Once again, please. Yes. And from the ice hole, what you need to put the rope from the ice hole to the bottom. And if you use the big reel, you can very easy to find the ice hole. This part of the course is based on the cave technology. So especially say it's technical diving. But when you understand how the cave diver dive in the cave, you can use the technology. It's more freedom. It's much more easy. It's more safe. That's my main idea. Because most people this breaking the rules. They think the rules it's not for them. And a lot of people die not even in Russia because it's very dangerous to swim from the ice hole to long distance. And I think if the revolution inevitable, you can you can become the leader of the revolution. And we make the course, we make the equipment to make the ice diving much more safe compared to the people who not pass the rules. And please, photo number 4. This, for example, also ice diving in White Sea. If you dive on the first time without the line on the bottom, you can use the reel. It's enough space, enough freedom to make more comfortable. In some standard place, for example, photo exhibition in White Sea, we already set the permanent line on the bottom, and all divers can use all technical diver can use cave technology and dive on the line. It's very safe. And other thing about rebreather. Rebreather is very good equipment for ice diving. Also, I compare exactly agree with Evgeny and Gerald. Rebreather is very good equipment because this give more warm air, gas to breathe, and more safe. And this is also very silent because the rebreather not produce bubbles. It's very silent.
But you have
yes.
you get tourism from other countries, you know, like want to do ice off, like from warm countries especially, you know, like you want to do ice diving in Russia with you.
Yes, sure. For example, for White Sea, the place of this photo, the most tourists who come for the ice diving for the place, it's not Russian tourists, it's foreign tourists. The most people.
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yes, welcome.
Thanks, Sergey. Now I'm gonna move to Josh again. I mean, like Josh, what does it have like an impact? You know, ice diving. Where do you live, like in tourism as well?
Oh, I mean, I wish I could say yes, but the number of people that do it is so few. I would say that there's no significant economic impact. That being said, you know, we do a class every year where we invite people from surrounding areas, and we're starting to get more and more people that will travel in to do the training. And again, you know, it's all about the whole experience. And we get like a lot of Florida divers that will come out. You know, they dive dry suits in the caves and whatnot, but you know that's 21 degree Celsius water, so it's not cold. And so they come out here and they'll do ice diving, and it's I think the impact that we personally have, at least the training that we do and the dives that we do, is probably it's more impactful on some of those they're serious divers, but maybe they don't do a lot of cold water diving, and I think it really opens their eyes into a lot of the same techniques, but some of them need to be adapted for cold water, you know, with dry gloves and thick undergarments and being able to reach your valves and the procedures getting in and out of the water. So I think rather than an impact on our surrounding area, we have more of an impact on a broader range of divers that come in to do the ice dive training.
It's a big jump from the Keys, you know, like where you live, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. And, you know, not everyone enjoys it. I think everyone is glad that they tried it. But I think there's quite a few people who will choose to never do it again. But then I'm also surprised every once in a while you'll get what I consider a warm water diver that just has a lot of fun, and then it opens up a whole new world of diving.
This is perfect. All right, guys. I mean, like we're very close to close this session. So I mean, like I'm very interested in one question before we close this session. I mean, like I would like to know in 1 minute exactly. I mean, like what is the most critical situation you encountered under the ice? So I'm going to start with Gerald first.
I would say if you have a problem with your regulator, yeah, the regulator is always when people may be far away from the ice hole, and then they get a problem with the regulator, and then they don't really realize that the regulator is coming, and then maybe change too late for the second regulator. This is the main problem for many people, and maybe the cold itself, because they don't really. Some people don't really feel the cold. And they are.
Did you encounter that yourself? Did you
yeah, with my legs, I had some problems that I felt it too late, and as I came back to the surface, it was really the last minute, because my foot was one foot was really cold. This was maybe the last couple minutes before I get a real problem.
Josh, your turn. What is the most critical situation, Josh?
Yeah, and we see a lot of equipment-related issues. I would say the most critical that I come across, though, are people that don't take the cold seriously, whether it be above or below the water, and they let themselves get too cold, kind of, almost beyond. They cross a line where, okay, they can no longer recover from that easily. Obviously, we've never had any serious injuries or anything like that, but people that will let themselves get too cold, and they either have to call the second dive, or they have to call the dive early because they didn't prepare properly with the correct undergarments or the procedures, or staying warm before they went underwater. That would probably be the most serious thing that I see.
Yeah. Sergey, what is the most critical situation that you encountered, apart from rescuing me being stuck to the ice that day?
I think you don't need rescue. You also a very good diver on the ice, and you look like a little bit frozen, but it was very good. The most funny situation with me, several years ago, I have a student from Netherlands, and we go to ice diving, and we make first, second dive, and before the third dive, I go out for a few minutes, and then come back, and I forgot to close inside zipper, and jump to ice with open zipper. It was very funny. I surfaced again, close the zipper, and continue dive about 20 minutes. It's not forgettable at the time. It was very funny, but it's good.
Perfect. Genny, what's the most critical situation that you encountered, in 1 minute exactly, or actually less?
В заливе замерзшем ныряли, то есть уже весной, когда лед был недостаточно крепкий.
In a frozen bay, when the ice was not so strong,
резко поменялся ветер,
the wind has changed and ice was broken.
В итоге входная майна, то есть ее не стало. То есть
and inside hole was very hard to find it.
Ну, приблизительно зная географию залива, то есть куда идти, то есть я оцепил веревку и прошел там порядка 400 метров и вышел на открытую воду.
He cut the rope, went 400 meters, and as he knew the geographic of this place, he can sit here before you.
Потому что возможность прорываться между льдинами уже ее не было. И во время сильного ветра льдины находят друг друга.
Yeah, because during the big strong wind, the ice crashes each other, and it's hard to find the proper hole.
He needs to tell me more when I come to Vladivostok about that.
Okay.
For sure.
All right, guys, thank you very much. That was a very lovely meeting. It was very beneficial as well and very informative. So thank you very much, and then it's a pleasure to meet all of you, and I hope to see all of you very soon. Now, Kushi, thank you very much, Kushi. So I will give the microphone to Kushi so she can just finish the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ahmed. And thank you, gentlemen, for your time today and all the tips and all your experiences that you've shared for us. And we hope to see you all physically at the Singapore Ocean Week 8X show in June 2022. So for the viewers, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in our Facebook page and we'll try our best to answer them. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this post to win the collector's edition of your favorite scuba diver, Australasia and Ocean Planet, Diverholic 21 and 22 Diving Digital Magazine for free. Stay tuned for the next session happening shortly with David Strike and Brian Kakuk. All right, that's it for now. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.